They want to be in business, but they don't want to look at the numbers.
I know a lot of contractors really struggle with that awareness problem.
How many contractors have their books figured out?
I find that cash flow is something that a lot of accounting professionals and business owners kind of skip over.
What are the most important KPIs to use in a roofing business or construction business?
If I'm looking at your labor number, let's talk about what's going on with your sales team, your staff, your subcontractors. What do those relationships look like?
Morgan, you work with the contractors, helping them with accounting services.
That's right.
Must be super boring. How do you start conversation with someone who probably already too bad and too neglected his books for years?
I can always start a conversation on the grounds that accounting is terrible. We can bond over that, the mutual distaste for the fact that it's very, very annoying to have to bog through all of your numbers. So, the place that we start with contractors is right there, that it's annoying. And so we need to find a way to make it as easy as possible so that the follow through on getting that tracking and then getting that information that you really need for all of your operational decision making, make it easy so that the follow through is there.
Percentage-wise, how many contractors have their books figured out? You open it up
Yeah,
you don't need my help.
Thing. Yeah, so part of our qualification process with clients is that we do a diagnostic. We'll dive in, we'll take a look at everything. I would say probably about 10% of the contractors' books that we take a look at are in pretty good shape. So 5 to 10% of them, I'll take a look and I'll say, hey, your system's working really well. If your bookkeeper needs some extra work, let me know. I got lots of contractors that need an extra hand too. But 90%, there's some really rough stuff going on. I know a lot of contractors really struggle with that awareness problem. They might take a look at the reporting and they're not quite sure when you're looking at the financial reports, is the information good or not?
Even if they do get to reports, how do you explain this neglect? Because contractors are business owners, right? But they want to work with their hands. It's actually a very unique business owners because contractors, they like to work hard. They didn't start the business to start the business. They started the business not to have a full-time job. And they've been neglecting it for years, and now they have to wrap their head around it. So how do you explain that they want to be in business, but they don't want to look at the numbers?
Yeah. The easiest way the way that we approach talking about the financial reporting is that we've got to tie this back to reality, right? I was definitely one of those people. I grew up in a trades family. All of the men in my family are contractors of different types. So I feel like I speak that language really well. I totally understand what it's like talking about business around the dinner table. And I was the kind of person that when it came to any kind of accounting or mathematics or finance, it didn't click for me until I could tie it into what does this actually mean on the ground? If I'm looking at your labor number, let's talk about what's going on with your sales team, your staff, your subcontractors. What do those relationships look like? So when you can kind of break the financial reporting down into this is your day-to-day, what are these numbers actually plugging into, and what does it mean for you every single day? That makes it a lot easier to digest.
Absolutely. What are the most important KPIs to use in a roofing business or a construction business?
Roofing is really interesting because gross profit margin is a huge one that we want to track, make sure that it's really healthy. But part of what makes roofing interesting is that for most specialty trade contractors, we have pretty tight KPIs for labor costs and materials costs. But with the roofing contractors that I work with, I see some really big differences in where people can come in on materials spend, on their direct labor spend with their subcontractors, but still be hyper profitable. So the area that I'm seeing that a lot of businesses are really excelling and being more efficient is that they're saving on overhead costs. So I see gross profit margins that can kind of vary. I see a lot of different KPIs for materials, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are managing to run really agile, lean businesses on the overhead side, and as a end result, they're bringing home really good discretionary earnings.
There's so many contractors that I see who open credit lines, and those credit lines absolutely, you smiled, so I know you have opinion on it. So they open these credit lines, ABC Supply, these vendors, whatever, and then at the end of the year, they never have enough money to spend. And actually, I've seen so many nightmare stories where contractor did not link his CRM to his QuickBooks and he did not know that he even owes the money. What's your advice on managing credit lines?
Yeah, so the credit lines, the vendor accounts, a lot of people don't know this, but the way that we actually set up and track those inside of something like QuickBooks Online, we treat them just like credit cards. So a lot of the vendors, like ABC Supply is a really great example. You can get directly into their website, you can export spreadsheets and import those into QuickBooks so they look like a bank feed. So they look like individual purchase items. So you're not just waiting for one bill to come in and it looks like a lump sum that hits. And if somebody is not tracking the paperwork, they're not tracking the bill, that goes missing and you don't necessarily see it if the tracking's not dialed in. But when you're tracking it like a credit card, it's a lot more obvious where the expenses are coming in. You can see a lot more detail. And then where you can reconcile that every single month, just like a credit card, you should be doing that with your vendor accounts. And then checking in routinely with your statement of cash flows. So I know that you teach a lot on this. I find that cash flow is something that a lot of accounting professionals and business owners kind of skip over because it's really not intuitive when you look at it and kind of see where the cash is coming in and out. But if you're eyeballing that routinely, it really does show you how much of your cash flow is because you're leaning on your vendor accounts. You're pulling in from there and you've got to have a place to make up for that later when you have to pay those bills that come due.
Absolutely. What's your take on Mike Michalovich and Profit First?
I love Mike Michalovich. So Profit First I think has some really excellent guiding principles. And what I really love about that system is that it taps into a lot of really good spending psychology. And I think that's really important. Like we like to all think that we're super rational the way that we make decisions and the way that we spend money, and we're really not. And so a lot about the Profit First system really helps us dial those more basic spending urges. There's some great banking systems and stuff too that make the Profit First tracking a lot easier. So it's something that my team helps a lot of contractors out with.
Describe in 1 minute services that you offer to the contractors.
Yeah, we're full service accounting services. So we do monthly bookkeeping, anywhere from monthly to weekly updates, very heavy on the advising side. So everything that we do is really trying to make your financial information useful. Like let's dial it back into reality so you know, are your operational decisions good, bad? You're trying to like work towards specific goals. How's that going? And then we do taxes. So we'll check all those compliance boxes as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I cannot stress enough how important financing and accounting in your business. I know it's boring. I know you don't want to deal with it, but you have to or you will be out. It's numbers game and numbers don't lie. You cannot neglect them anymore. So I'm going to put Morgan's information in description below. Hit her up, her company, give her a call. Let them evaluate your books. Maybe she will work with your accountant. Comment below, how are your books? Here's what I want to know. Rate yourself from 1 to 10 and be honest. 1 would be, I'm absolutely horrible, I'm delusional, I don't want to ever look at my numbers. And 10 would be, I'm excellent, I wake up in the morning with checking my reports and I know my numbers to the T. From 1 to 10, where are you at in your accounting game? Comment below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Give it a like for Morgan. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dmitry.
Awesome.